Hey, welcome to this edition of Thrive. As always, I hope it finds you well and that life is good for you. You know, as we approach Father's Day, I find myself standing in a place I never imagined I would be. You see, where I stand today, 31 years ago, was my future. 31 years ago, when I held the first of my kids in my arms and looked at them, I had dreams, I had hopes, I had aspirations. And I set about trying to achieve those and help them achieve them. Yet I never gave enough thought to where I am today. So standing where I am today, looking back, I realised that as grateful as I am and as thankful and as proud as I am of my kids, I wished I had given more thought to the things that were more important than I ever realised at the time. You see, when we think about future, when we think about legacy and what we're going to leave the next generation, what we're going to pass on to our kids, to our grandkids, we tend to get caught up in thinking about wealth, thinking about building an asset base that we can leave to them so they can have a foundation to build upon that we didn't, so that they are able to go further than we could, and there's nothing wrong with that. Yet I've come to realise that there is something far more important and far more significant that we can leave the next generation than any wealth that we might accumulate. In fact, Jesus says in Matthew 16:26 that what does it profit a person to gain the world but lose their life? You see, I think that the best legacy that you can leave your kids, the best legacy that you can pass on to the next generation is your name. You see, your name is so much more than a word that identifies you as opposed to somebody else. When people use your name, what they're really doing is expressing your character. They're expressing your values, your beliefs, what's important, who you really are. All of that is tied up in a name. And every time someone uses your name, that's what they're referring to. And the best legacy that you can leave is a name that the next generation, that your children, your grandchildren will be proud of. You see, your kids bear your name. No matter what you leave them, they're going to bear your name. And a name is so much more valuable than anything else. You know, think of great names in history. Think of Martin Luther King. You know, the chances are the moment I mentioned his name, you could imagine him standing there giving the I Have a Dream speech. You could imagine him marching peacefully against racism, against segregation. His name captures his character, his values, what was important in life, and the legacy that he's left. Whereas you mentioned some other names in history, some politicians, for example, and you don't have such a positive response. You see, your name is more than just that which your parents gave you. It carries so much more than we realize. And that's why I think that the most important thing that you can do is to build your character, to focus on building your character in ways that when you go, your family is proud to bear your name. It's not about how much you leave them. It's about what you give them. I think of what Paul said in 1 Corinthians 4:16. He said, imitate me. You see, he built his character on Christ so that he said, no matter where you go in life, if you follow me, if you imitate me, you won't go wrong. Let that be the legacy that you leave your kids. Let that be that which you leave your grandkids. That they are so proud to carry your name that they want to imitate you. Not your wealth, not your success, but you, your character. Because that is true wealth. That is what is going to bear them into the future. That is what is going to lay the foundation for God to build in their life. That is what is going to help them step into the fullness of what God has for them. So I want to encourage you as you celebrate Father's Day, as you give thanks for your father, think about what you're doing to build for the next generation. Make whatever corrections you need to make, that your kids will be proud to bear your name. Hope that encourages you. Until next time, God bless.